Hi.
Alright, hello guys, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, my name is Nikki, and this is my book nook. Today, we are talking about a book that is very different from my normal genre. I'm kind of between series right now, and I wanted to knock out a few like short one-off books that I've been wanting to read. This is one of those books I've wanted to read for quite a while now, and it is We Were Liars by Lockhart. This book is not new by any means. It's honestly like a classic at this point, if you will. It's going up on like 10 years that it's been out. I've just never read it. I am a big fan of watching videos of people talking about like their favorite books of all time, like their biggest book recommendations, blah, 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 like books that changed their life, this and that. And like, I have seen this book mentioned in more of those videos than maybe like any other book. Like, it is apparently a thing. It is a big thing, and because of that, I'm like, okay, I eventually gotta read this. Like I said, this is not my normal genre by any means. I am a big fantasy girl, and this is very much like a YA coming of age contemporary sort of novel. But it's not like all I read is fantasy. I do jump around. I'm a huge fan of John Green, and that's kind of what like sold me on this book. Finally, when I saw it at Barnes & Noble, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it. Right on the front of the cover is a quote of John Green saying, "This is thrilling, beautiful, blisteringly smart, and utterly unforgettable." I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna get this freaking book. I've heard rave reviews. I mean, literally the entire inside cover is just like all these publications and authors and people saying that this is like the greatest book of all time. And like, when I read it, I'm just like, am I missing something? Am I being punked? Is this the right book? Because guys, this book just like didn't do it for me. I was so disappointed. I'm not quite sure where to begin. This is gonna have plenty of spoilers because like I said, this is not a new book, but this book is pretty short. It's exactly 250 pages, and it literally took like 220 pages for anything of note to happen. I found myself bored. I found the story to just be really kind of like all over the place. Let's start with the basic summary, right? This book is about the Sinclair family, specifically following Cadence Sinclair. So the Sinclair family is this super rich political family, and it starts with Harris and Tipper Sinclair, and they have had 3 daughters, and those 3 daughters have gone on to have several kids. And basically now every summer all of the cousins go to this private island that they own, and they spend their summers there. And Cadence is the daughter of one of the mothers, and the whole idea is like, this is very much family where like they are super rich. They put off the vibe that they are like the perfect family, when in reality, like, nothing about them is perfect. Like, all the daughters have been through divorces, like all the daughters are spoiled, and like they all just want the father's money when he goes, basically. Like, none of them have ever worked for anything. They're brats. They are forever arguing with each other over what they get in the will and which estate and blah blah blah. And yeah, so you kind of like see the first few summers of like Cadence's childhood, of her going there and visiting with her cousins. There's several cousins, but the main ones that she talks about are Johnny, and then Mirren, and there's this boy Gat. Gat has come into Johnny's family because his mother remarried, whatever. So basically he's not a part of the family, but he still comes every summer because he's kind of like in a way connected now. It kind of was a lot. Like I said, a short book, but I felt like the first 100 pages I was just trying to like grasp who everybody was and what their names were and how they were connected and why it mattered. There's literally a family tree at the beginning of the book, which I found very helpful because I was so confused for a while. A lot of the names are like kind of confusing too. And anyways, I just found the writing of this to be, I want to say right up front, like, I think this writer is an amazing writer. Clearly the way she like did the story and chose to write it was like on purpose, right? It felt like it was like a very like, I could see how this is like a very like quirky kind of cult following book that people enjoy. She kind of like jumped from summer to summer. Like, they call each summer like the age that they were. So it's like summer 12, summer 13, summer 14. Like, that's the ages that the like 3 cousins are that hang out. So we like see the first kind of like 3 summers, just like glimpses of it here and there. I just felt like every chapter is just like, it's just random. It's like, oh, here's like a random conversation we're having. Oh, we're making s'mores, huh? Okay, then later that day we went and we did this, and then later we did this. Like, I just felt like there was no like flow or overarching story. It was just a bunch of random kind of like conversations like knitted together. So basically after a few summers, Cadence's father leaves her and her mother. So now they are getting divorced and Cadence is like very depressed about it and all of that, and which is understandable, but it was just hard for me to like her character, be into her character, because she just, and I know that's the whole point of this book. Like the whole point is like the idea that like these rich families, you think they have it all figured out, but when in reality they're all like miserable and hate their lives. Like Cadence was just such a like whiny, like she's so rich, has everything, but she just like, it's like, poor me, I hate my life, like everything sucks. Like, so I'm kind of jumping around, but basically like Cadence, her father leaves, she kind of over a couple summers develops this like relationship with Gat, who is the friend of the cousin that comes there every summer, which that was one of the only parts of the whole story that was like intriguing, right? Her little romance with him. Yet I felt it happened so fast. Like there was no slow burn to it. There was no like tension. Like I understand this is like a YA, like nothing crazy is gonna happen, but they just kind of like got together. Like there was all of like 2 conversations, like nothing intense, and then it's just like, okay, we kiss now. I love him, my Gat, I love him so much. And I'm just like, why do you love him? Like I don't feel like I really got anything. Like I just felt like there was like a lack of like imagery. Like I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the love through the book. I wasn't sitting here like, oh yes, Gat, like this is a beautiful relationship. I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you had a conversation, okay, you kissed, okay, cool. Like it didn't do anything for me in my soul. Anyways, so finally, summer 15, Cadence gets in an accident. She is swimming, she hits her head, whatever, she ends up in the hospital, and now she has amnesia, which I just feel like it's so done. I'm not trying to like crap on this book, but I'm just like, oh really, you got in an accident and now you have amnesia? Like, oh, like how common is that really? I know it's a book, like I know like most, like I literally read books about vampires. I'm not like, how realistic is this? But I'm just, anyway, so she has amnesia, and then the following summer, now she has like lots of issues too. She has to take lots of medication because she has horrible like splitting headaches, and you know, the following summer, like she doesn't get to go. Her mother makes her go to Europe with her father, and she's really upset because she wants to go see Gat, she wants to see the cousins, but they don't let her go. And all summer she's like emailing cousins, nobody is responding to her. And then finally the following summer she goes and she sees, when they're driving up to the island, the big estate that all the daughters fight over, the Claremont estate. It's like different now. They've rebuilt it. And she's like, why'd you rebuild Claremont? And which I didn't even really catch this at first. I was like, oh, okay, cool, they like rebuilt it. Like, I don't, what do I care? So yeah, I mean, like in the end, it turns out she's like, now she's back here this summer. Okay, she's like back with Gat. Again, this whole summer, like, which is like 150 pages of this 250 page book, is just so many random encounters. It's like, oh, a dinner. Oh, we're at the beach now. Oh, we're playing a video game. Like, I don't know, like it was just so much, oh, me and Gat are by the beach now. Oh, we're like, it's just like all these like random conversations that I just like had such a hard time. Like, I mean, I read this so fast. I read it in literally a day and a half because it's so short. And I mean, chapters are so short that it was just easy to flip through, but okay, so finally like the revelation comes through, right? She doesn't remember a lot of things from that summer. She doesn't remember like how her accident happened. Like all she knows is she's like, why did I go swimming alone? How did I hit my head? What happened? Nobody will really tell her because they're like, you need to remember on your own. The doctor said it's best for you to remember on your own. So it's like clearly something like suspicious has happened. Like people are not being honest with her. So I'm like really intrigued. I'm like, okay, like this is gonna get really good. I can feel it. Like, tell me what happened. So she starts to get like bits of her memory back. And what just frustrated me so much was like when the big like, oh crap moment happens, I just felt that it was revealed in like such a like boring way. Like she literally just wakes up and is like, a fire. There was a fire. Like it just comes to her out of nowhere. And which I feel like that could have been like revealed in another way. But yeah, she remembers that there was a fire, and she's like, Claremont was on fire. Why was Claremont on fire? And basically goes back to the cousins, which I forgot to mention, the cousins are the liars. That's why it says we were liars. They always, grandma called them liars because they were mischievous when they were kids, and so now they call each other the liars. That's their group. But yeah, she goes to the liars, and then yeah, it turns out because like the daughters, which are their mothers, were spending so much time fighting over this estate, and it was like tearing their family apart, that the kids decided to set the house on fire, and it burned to the ground, and that's why it's being rebuilt, and blah blah blah. And then just like once she realizes that, literally the next chapter, it's just like, oh, basically just reveals that the cousins are dead. That when they set the fire, which this to me was so stupid, I feel so bad. Like, am I just like heartless? I don't know. Like, so when they set the fire, they all decided to go in together and like put gas on everything, and Cadence was in the bottom floor, and she set all the books in the library on fire, and then she just started the fire. While Johnny and Mirren and Gat were all like upstairs still pouring gasoline. So they got stuck in the house, and she like ran out of the house, and that's why she ended up in the water, because she was like burning. So she like jumped in the water to like whatever, make herself hurt less, and then woke up in the hospital, and yeah, she had amnesia, and she like, that's why, which, okay, this part was cool, I guess, like that's why the cousins like weren't responding to her emails. That's why the liars were not responding to her emails, because like they were dead. But so yeah, now it's revealed that like this whole summer she's been talking to ghosts. Like they haven't been real, it's all been in her head. So like some things do start to make sense, because like every time they hang out, it's like just them hanging out, and they just hang out at like this one little beach and like all this stuff, and like that's why her mom is like, you need to hang out with like the little cousins, like you need to not spend so much time at that beach, because her mom thinks she's just like spending time alone, where she's been thinking she's been with the liars. So it's like, literally, again, this all is revealed starting on page like 220 of 250, and you're just like, oh, okay, so everything I read was kind of for nothing. Like, I don't know, like it was very, like, I literally would have given the book 1 star up until that moment, but then when that stuff kind of like happened, it was like, okay, interesting. But I guess I just wish it was like, I don't wish it was longer, because like I found it kind of boring, but I don't know, it's just, it was hard because you're obviously supposed to be like super emotional, like, oh my god, like they're all dead, like her cousin's dead. But like for me, I felt like I never got a chance to really care about those characters. Like Johnny and Mirren, like even Gat, who she was like in love with, like I never felt anything for them. Like I just felt like all of their conversations were so like simple and haha, like, you know, like I didn't feel this emotional attachment to them that like whenever they died I was like, oh my god, my heart's been ripped out of my chest. Like I just didn't feel that at all. So I mean, the most emotion I felt in this whole book is whenever she realized, because like whenever she got back that year, the dad, like the grandpa, she was like, where are 2 of the 4 dogs he has? And he's like, oh, they're gone. She's like, what? They died in the fire. That made me feel the most emotion. I was like, oh my god, the poor dogs died. Like that made me so upset. But yeah, everything else, I mean, like she literally spent all this time in the last couple pages being like, Johnny, blah, blah, and like explaining like, Johnny will never go to college, Johnny will never do this and that. And like, that's the only time where I started to feel like I got to know the characters. I'm like, oh, okay, he was into this, he's into that. Like, oh, okay, yeah, kind of sad. I just wish I would have like been given more of that throughout the story that like made me care. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me know if you guys think I'm insane. Like, literally, like I said, people think this is like the greatest book of all time. It's revolutionary. Like, maybe I'm just crazy, and maybe like I said, not my genre. Like, I read fantasy, I read vampire romances. Like, this is not typically what I go for, so maybe it's just not for me, and if you think that's the case, let me know. But I again, don't want to say, like, I think the author it's very well written. I think it's really, like, interesting and different. She had this way of writing where she kind of, like, because the girl in the story, she liked to write like fairy tales and stuff, so some of the chapters were literally told in the form of like a fairy tale. Like, it's all just like italics, and she's like, it's like a metaphor, right? Like very metaphorical, like, oh, a king lived in the palace with 3 daughters and blah blah blah. So it's like she's telling the story, but it's really like metaphorical, you know. And then also she would write in, I don't know if like prose is the word, but she would write almost like in poems. I need to find an example. Okay, a poem is not like the right word, but it'll be like this. where she'll like write 2 words and like skip a line, and I think it's like for emphasis, or maybe it's like a freaking haiku and I'm just dumb and don't know what that is. So I mean, I thought that was like very beautiful and interesting, but just yeah, overall this book did not do it for me, and it made me very sad because so many people love it. But yeah, it's gonna go in my donate pile. Don't hate me if this is your favorite book. If it is, great for you. Everybody loves different things, but it just wasn't for me. And that is it. I'm going back to fantasy right after this because I desperately need it after. I think I just love fantasy because like I love to escape life, and this book was all about like real life and real problems and real issues and depression, and like, you know, like I got enough of that in my, I don't have that many, but whatever. I got enough things in my life. I don't need to like feel somebody else's depression. So yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this little rant. Yeah, I will see you guys very soon.